Kia ora, I'm Stu Thompson and I'm from New Zealand. In fact, I'm with Boys Brigade New Zealand. And I'm telling you a story today about peace and forgiveness. The story of Tarore. In 1829, a young missionary couple left their town in Colchester in England, in the county of Essex. Their names were Alfred and Charlotte Brown. And they arrived in New Zealand in October 1829. In 1835, they set up a mission station on the land of Te Waharoa near Matamata. In fact, they called it the Matamata Mission Station. And they set up a school. In fact, Charlotte Brown was a very good teacher and she taught many people to read and write. And in 1835, in the Northland town of Paihia, the Gospel of Luke, or Te Rongopai Oruka, was published. And this translation in Maori made its way down to the missionaries in Matamata, and Te Waharoa's nephew, Ngā Kuku, had a daughter who was one of the children in the school that was taught by Charlotte Brown. She learned to read and write. In fact, she was quite accomplished in reading, and so she read the Te Rongopai Oruka scriptures to many people in the area. And in 1836, because of intertribal warfare, they decided to evacuate the pa there, the Matamata mission station, and head over the hills to Tauranga, where I live. And that's about 30 k's away. 10 kilometres from the mission station, they camped the night at a place called Wairere Falls. And at night, their campfire was seen by a warring party from Rotorua, led by a warrior by the name of Uita. And in the end, sadly, Tarore lost her life. And Uita saw a flax bag around her neck that contained Te Rongopai Oruka, and it was Ngā Kuku's copy. So he took it from her and took it back to Rotorua. And in there it stayed unused for quite some time, mainly because no one could read there. But a Maori slave who was returning from the far north where he'd learnt to read, he was heading back to Otaki on the Kapiti coast in the lower North Island. His name was Ripiho, and Ripiho had learnt to read, and so Uita asked him to read to him. And he learnt the message of the gospel, the peace and reconciliation that Jesus taught. And so he realised that what he had done to Tarore and her family was wrong. And so he sought out Ngā Kuku and asked his forgiveness. And at Tarore's funeral, years before, Ngā Kuku had said, enough of this revenge, this utu. And so he preached a message of peace and reconciliation at her funeral. And so the people from Waharoa never sought revenge. And after that, Ripiho returned to the Otaki, the Kapiti coast, and he shared with his relatives, his cousin Tamihana, and the relatives Tarapraha, a feared warrior in the area. And he taught them to read, and then they also learnt the gospel of peace and reconciliation that Jesus taught. And over the years, that message entered the South Island, and many warriors and Maori people from that time came to faith and became Christians through this gospel of Luke, and that had been a prized possession of Tarore. And so the ministry of Charlotte and Alfred Brown had huge fruit, and many years later, after the treaty had been signed, they found many Christians in the South Island, even though that no missionaries had been there. And so the gospel is powerful, and the story of Tarore and the story of forgiveness is a story that is really important in New Zealand culture today. So there's a story that you can share from way out back the bottom of the earth from New Zealand. So thank you for watching.